Hello everyone, my name is David Connolly and this video is designed to demonstrate why I believe electric roads are an affordable way for us to electrify all forms of road transport. And yes, that's what I said, all forms, so I'm not just talking about cars, but buses and trucks also. And this presentation is based on a study I carried out earlier in 2016, which you can access on my website, dconnolly.net/electric roads. So what do I mean by electric roads? Well, these are a way for us to power electric vehicles without relying solely on the battery. And the idea is that when an electric vehicle reaches an electric road, it stops using power from the battery and instead uses power directly from the road itself, similar to the way that we power trams and electric trains nowadays. And what my results have indicated is that building these electric roads is cheaper than a lot of other alternatives. And the main reason for that is due to the amount of money that we already spend on our transport infrastructure. To illustrate that, I'm going to use Europe as a case study. And here on the left hand side, I've summarized some key numbers that demonstrate my concept. First thing is that we buy around 15 million new passenger cars in Europe each year. I've assumed a very conservative cost for each of those cars of €15,000 per car, excluding all taxes, and multiplying the two of these together, we can estimate that we spend around €225 billion every year buying new cars. Comparing that to the price of developing electric roads, if we look at the total length of motorway or highway network across Europe, we can find that it's around 70,000 kilometers of road network. The people who are developing electric roads right now are aiming for a cost of around €3 million per kilometer to implement the technology in both directions on a road network. That means at €3 million per kilometer across 70,000 kilometers of motorway or highway in Europe, it would cost around €210 billion to implement electric roads across the entire European continent. Of course, that is a huge number and it is a huge challenge to implement such a dramatic change in the way we provide our transport, but it needs to be considered in this context of how much we already spend on our transport infrastructure. Going back to the first number that I demonstrated, this means that it's around the same price to develop electric roads across the entire European continent as it is for us to buy new cars in only 1 year in Europe. So we can simply replace buying cars in one single year and instead invest in developing an electric road infrastructure across the entire European continent. And it's because of this huge amount of money that we already spend on our transport infrastructure as to why building electric roads is a very affordable thing to do. And not only is it about cost, but there's a huge amount of extra benefits that come with these electric road infrastructure. The first, of course, is that if we can provide electric roads, we can, in theory, you could say, provide unlimited range for electric vehicles, or at least unlimited range to the level at which we've implemented electric roads. So if we build an electric road from Paris to Berlin, then an electric vehicle can travel on one single charge all the way from Paris to Berlin. The other major benefit is that we can enable smaller batteries in our electric vehicles. So if we can provide these electric roads, then an electric vehicle will only need enough battery to get to the electric road rather than to get to its final destination. That means we can significantly reduce the battery capacities and therefore significantly reduce the costs of our electric vehicles. And finally, perhaps the most important benefit of electric roads is that it would enable us to electrify all forms of road transport, as I mentioned at the very start of this video. That means we won't just electrify cars, but we can also electrify our heavy-duty transport like buses and trucks. This will be a huge breakthrough in the sustainable transition because it means we can use resources like wind and solar power to provide electricity to drive our heavy-duty transport, which we currently don't have an affordable and obvious sustainable alternative for. So this is some of the big benefits of electric roads. If you want more information, please check out my website, dconnolly.net/electric roads, and hopefully we can see electric roads being a big part of the transition to a more sustainable transport network in the future. Thank you very much for listening.